they need to
I
be
don't.
paying.
They definitely aren't at the level of Satinder, because
Right.
Satinder has coded several apps.
Mhm.
But also, I don't think Satinder will join our team as a team member. He just
No.
does it independently and then
And we
gives
would
it
need
to
someone
us.
to interface.
Yeah, it's always better to just have someone on the team,
Yeah.
because then you don't have to pay them either, because they just do it because they're on the team.
Okay, well, let's talk about that because that's important. So finding a CTO, here's what I've done in the past. I put something up on Angel List and it's very transparent. It says we have this 250K matching fund, but we haven't found the match yet. We are building. I'm just very transparent. Are you interested? I haven't interviewed and haven't had any interviews since the fall. I haven't done any yet. And there was one guy actually that was really kind of scary, and he said, he said I shouldn't be doing that on Angel List and posting that you want partners. No, but I think, do you know Angel List? Does either of you know Angel List? Have you spent any time on Angel List? Okay.
Never heard of that. No.
Okay. Angel List is a place. Let's just go there right now for a bit. Dun, dun.
Well, I wonder if it could be an internship, versus.
Well, I mean, and that's also, let me find Angel List and we'll,
Well, coding an app takes a lot of time.
yeah.
It would.
And
They would have to be full time.
It would have to be full time, and so there we are. So this is our listing on Angel List. It's there to have
We
some
can't
presence.
see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So this is tech centered, where you can list for jobs, you can find jobs, you can ostensibly find funding here too, find angel investors. That's why they call it Angel List. So let's see here. Look, here's our profile. Funding. Oh, nothing there yet. Looks like it hasn't set up this page. Yeah. So, culture, nothing there yet. People. Well, there's one.
How many people go on this daily?
I haven't looked for that number. We could.
I think posting on LinkedIn might be more effective.
Yes, and as far as time spent in our distributed energies, yeah, and I don't go there that much. But what I want to say is that our job is listed. This is an opportunity to be a part of COVID-19 solution now. So I list that it's in Portland and San Francisco. No salary, 30 to 35%. That's kind of high. Partnership or ownership, and that's a little high. So that it really shows that it is.
Wait, 30%?
Yeah, that's high, isn't it?
Wait, why?
Well,
why that high?
Well, because at the time I was looking for a partner, a technical partner.
Oh, just
and it was
you
before you guys.
Okay.
So yeah, I have to change that. I will do that. I should do that right now. How can I edit? How can I edit?
Oh, you would call him a co-founder too?
Yeah. I mean, this is what we were looking at.
Was this a long time ago?
Yeah, oh, okay. This was. So I list what it is, and so the people who respond are clear that so I posted this in the fall of 2019, and there's all the requirements there and apply now.
Did you get any applications?
I have gotten some applications, and I did do some interviews. So it was a range from quite senior to new. And yeah, let me
and you didn't like any of them?
I just didn't have anything to pay them, and they needed to be paid, as it turned
Oh.
out. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, engineering, one job. Let's see, jobs. Oh, that's already that. Okay. Let me see. Just go in there and change that right now. Over here. Oh, don't want to do that right now. Okay, edit. Okay. All that, all that. Oh,
You should change the logo.
oh yeah. So I need to spend some more time here. Let me do that. Doesn't go there. All right. Yeah, I don't like to do this during our meeting time, but let's see if I can do it really quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave
What,
Um,
when? Okay,
yeah.
so let me come back to this.
like 1 minute.
1 minute.
You have to
I
leave.
have a meeting at 9. I have a meeting at 9. So,
Okay, okay. So Jack,
yeah.
social media, let's talk about that with you. We talked about that yesterday. Images with a campaign questions. Incidentally, I couldn't get back on Twitter because they said I was too young because we put 2010 in.
Oh, that makes
So you have to
sense.
be 18. 10-year-old with a
Yeah.
Twitter account. Woohoo! So I got to go back in there, and I did start a campaign question. So think of those questions. Dee Dee, we agreed that we would, that I would send Jack image, a question, some text, and we would post it between Wednesday and Friday. And so
Mhm.
Jack, also what we want to archive it because we can reuse those things and also show them at the end as our archive and its documentation. So the gallery is probably held in Instagram, right? That's our archive.
What are you talking about? The photos?
Our social message, our social media messaging. So when
Yeah.
we blast one, it's held on Instagram. Yeah, and they all archive. Okay. Actually, at some point, it would be really great to show all of our archive of social media in one place as an installation, as a representation of our work. So I just want to make sure that it's archived in a healthy way.
Yeah. Well, they're all up. So yeah, you could see all of them if you go to the
Right.
account.
They're there. And finally, take a look at Rabbit Alternatives. I just came across these. This is a new thing for 2020. I'll put that in the chat. And if you both grab this link and take a look at those. Rabbit was a solution that I used before. It was watching together. It's all technology. I did a cursory look over this list, and I don't believe they have moderation, but they certainly could. So these are another solution. Like Twitch is also another solution, but I think we use all of them.
Yeah.
And so what might be better than and more secure, we're also looking for secure than Zoom.
Yes.
So there
Oh,
we
yeah.
yeah, so secure and just better. But yeah, so
Okay.
just take a look at those. All right, so thanks for the help with John. That's good. The efficacy, maybe Dee Dee and I can talk about that just a few minutes more, Dee Dee, after Jack leaves.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
take a look at those websites
Okay. Very good.
and let
Thank you.
know. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Have a-
Okay.
So,
Um,
before you leave that topic, when you say image, question, text, what are you guys talking about?
so for a social media campaign, need an
Right.
image, and
Uh-huh.
for when we're showing a film, it's easy to put the film up and write a question. But I'd like to use our film images as well as other images that connote global thinking, children of the world that represent us. And there's this
Mhm.
guy too. There's Blinken Looky down here.
Uh-huh.
You could
Right,
always use
right.
him.
Right.
Um,
So you're thinking about, did you say once a week, once a day? What did you say for the image,
once a
question,
week.
text?
So at the end of
Week.
the day, Wednesday, I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna come back to this share. Let me share back to pages 1028. End of day Wednesday, I'm going to send Jack and Jack send to Jack. I'm going to send these components, and he's going to build a Instagram post and send it out, and then we spread it out. I have a friend in San Francisco who's agreed to do some dispersion if it's easy, and so we
Mhm.
send it to him, and he sends it to more people. He finds more places to send it. Um, so
Just an
yeah,
image
go.
and kind of, okay, is it kind of like a campaign in the sense of, the Apple Steve Jobs think differently? I mean, is that what you're thinking that along those lines,
Well,
or is it something?
that it's cohesive. So these questions are like, what's your earliest memory of an international film? That's what I've put out on Twitter to try and get responses. Um, uh, um, what childhood memory do you carry with you? What childhood memory is like that one's good to get them thinking about the potential of cornerstone memories.
Mhm.
Memory recurs most often. So we're trying, what we're doing is just with the little micro questions is really asking people to think about the power of cinema, international cinema in childhood. So it can build up like that. You know who's doing that is Tina Seelig. She's doing little micro lectures, I think she's calling them. Remember she talked about that, I believe, and little micro lectures on Twitter.
Right. She is. Yeah. Right. That's interesting. Oh, good. Okay, let me think. I'll think.
So
about
think
that.
about that. Think about that thing, and think about another thing that I have talked about is the importance of people like me who don't have children, who aren't teachers, but still recognize they have a stake in developing, right? So it's
Right.
along that line too. And I wonder if you've had these conversations with other teachers. What about those teachers who aren't parents, or those people out there in the world who aren't parents, who aren't teachers, who are not as invested, who, they might be designers. They think about all of the, the tech bros, who are, they're looking for their squeeze. They're looking for the life of their lives and to travel the world with, and or are they? Do they just want to play video games all day? How come? What makes these people care about the person who's going to be sitting in the desk next to them in 10 years? So
Yeah, yeah. I think. Wow, that's deep. This is really. There's a lot of thinking involved in this one right now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think about, the power of relationships or the power of understanding or the power of connections, it's like, and what makes those connections, what makes it for you, what touches you, like, uh, that's a big one. It's big.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wow.
I've been thinking about it a long time. And I have a friend, a gay man, who said to me early on, Katie, you don't need a kid. What do you need a kid? I don't want kids around here. And he's a lovely guy, but he doesn't want
Mhm.
kids around. And
Right.
that was the first I'd heard of someone who didn't want
Mhm.
kids around. And I think, okay, it does exist. It does
Right.
exist. And
Oh, yeah.
so what do these people think about raising society? Raising a healthy society. So
Right.
okay, let's see. So you're single, no kids, um, single, don't want kids. So you don't want kids. Or don't want or have kids. Don't want or have.
Mhm.
How do you contribute
Yeah.
to
Well, what's your
raising
role? Right? What's your role?
society,
Yeah.
raising a healthy society?
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be just single and no kids. It could be married and no kids.
Well,
Um,
I think I took the single out. So
yeah.
you don't have kids. Okay, so you don't have kids. So you don't have, let's just call it that. So you don't have kids. We won't put any other position. You don't have kids.
Mhm.
How do you contribute? Yeah, that's it. So you don't have kids. How do you contribute to raising a healthy society?
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a Twitter question. So that would be the question that we blast and seed the zeitgeist with. And then
Good one. Yeah.
go ahead.
That one should get some. That's a good one. I think that one should get some interest, I would think.
I hope
That's a
so.
really, I think that one's pretty thought provoking right there. And it's almost begging, there's a challenge implied in that sentence, that
Mm,
question,
mm,
what are you,
mm.
what, what's your role? What's your
Yeah,
role?
maybe that's a
You
good
know,
one for this week. Let's do that.
yeah,
The
yeah.
um the childhood memory is another one. So I can make a list, another Google Doc, and they can be there, and we could just, when we think of them, we deposit it there. So our repository.
Mhm.
Okay, here's a
Yeah.
new Google
So
Doc.
you want questions like that, but you ought to have a, a a name for your campaign. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that so that it kind of indicates that there's going to be it's a campaign seeking whatever it is you're seeking, and then that it's going to run up here, and questions will be
That's exactly
posted. I
what I
mean,
was saying to Jack. We want to be able to see this archive and
mhm,
and look at it as our work, part of our
mhm,
work. Um,
mhm,
and we talked about a name yesterday, and I said, Wednesday evening blast, just for us, so we can refer to it as the Wednesday blast. But I think it's more of an intervention than that. It's an artistic intervention to
mhm.
seed the zeitgeist. We can call it zeitgeist seeds. I don't know, something like that. Um,
Right. Huh.
zeitgeist
Yeah.
seeding the zeitgeist. I mean, it's kind of a verb, actually. We just talk about it that way. But
What's something along the lines of it's kind of along the lines of, it's Socratic in the sense that there's no right answer, but it questioning leads you somewhere, just keep question and question and question. So it's kind of Socratic.
There's people out there would like a Socratic challenge. You said it's kind of Socratic. If we called it Socratic something, would we be correct?
Yes, I think it's Socratic. I mean, it's it's
Socratic
the idea.
seed.
Yeah, right, Socratic feed.
SEED. Socratic seed.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Yes, yeah.
Right here in this
Yeah.
little zeitgeist right now. We came up with that. All right, high five. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
Socratic seed.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, put it right in the title right there. Socratic. It even sounds sowing Socratic seeds. Ooh, we gotta sowing Socratic seeds is almost, you gotta work your mouth around that. Sowing
Right.
Socratic seeds.
You're right.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so we have two right now for that so far, and today's date is the 28th. 28 October. And where did I put that? That's speaker notes there. That's that. Oh yes, it's right here. Yay, those are good. Yeah, I like that. I really like communal thinking.
Oh, I agree. Totally.
Yeah. What childhood memory occurs most often? Sometimes you're asked, don't want to say pleasant. I mean, that's also what the research says, is that we mainly remember pleasant memories.
Right.
And
yes.
so with that question, is it redundant to say pleasant memories? Or if we don't qualify with pleasant memories, I think that needs a qualifier somehow. If we don't qualify it somehow, we might get really
right.
dark stuff. But then that's
totally.
okay if it's dark, if they want to share it. It could be share a recurring childhood memory.
I think maybe, I do think you have to qualify it. Maybe pleasant is right.
Well, if they want to, right, share. So we don't. Okay, it needs a verb with it. Share of fond memory. Okay, what fond childhood memory recurs and gives you energy, or that activates you somehow? What fond childhood memory recurs most often? And inspires you and generates energy, or
I think that leave it shorter better, than compound. So maybe see maybe simpler, less.
What fond childhood memory recurs most often?
Okay, so or would it be inspiring childhood memory, or fond? I mean, inspiring, no, fond, inspiring.
Well, inspiring sometimes has people grasping for something that's larger, and they second guess themselves. So fond is nice, and it's personal to me, I think. Sounds like. I think it's a good choice of words.
So do we leave it with just that, and not not activates or whatever else? I mean, I'm wondering.
Well, I mean,
What do we-
a compound, I think I almost want a follow-up question. Like,
Mhm.
what's your earliest memory of an international film? How has that recurred in your life? How has that so what we have here is frequency. We have the event with the potential for its vibrancy, how how vivid the person expresses it will show us how vividly it's in his her memory. Hmm. What fond childhood? Maybe what fond childhood memory delivers most joy, delivers activates rather activates joy, activates
I think
activates joy more often, most often. How about that? What fond childhood memory activates joy most often? The word joy, I know might not, baby. Activates or motivates, not necessarily.
it wouldn't be reflex. It would be what childhood memory? Notes? No. It's kind of like is satisfying. I mean, I think it's you don't want to say warms you, but I mean it's something that gives you pleasure.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to try if it motivates you to do something or it activates some reaction or not activates reaction, but what fond childhood memory? And the follow-up question would be how often?
Yeah.
Too.
How often to what?
How often does that fond childhood memory occur, or and how has that recurrence manifested, or what has it manifested in your life? Maybe that's it. What has that memory manifested?
Well, because how often do you think people have a recurring
It depends, do they still, it might be about baseball. If it's baseball season, it's happening a lot. And, a game that they went to with their dad. If it's, if there's something that's regularly occurring still, every time they hear a fire engine, might be a good memory about that or something like that. I like that. What has that memory manifested? So then we get a little action.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So what fond childhood memory recurs most often, and what has that memory manifested? Those are nice. Okay. So that's 2. I think I already did. good. Okay. Cool.
And so there, I was looking, I was asking this question about how many Americans have seen an international film. And so the response here is until recently, Americans watched almost no foreign language films.
What's your
Okay.
source for that? Cool.
It's just I just posed the question out there into this Quora thing. But
Oh,
Amazon, Netflix, and YouTube and similar outlets, however, have changed this. I would wage most Americans watch at least a few every year. Okay, so maybe the question is that maybe that good question is, what age were you when you saw your first international film? I think that would be a good question.
yeah. Okay. That's the rather than the film. What's your earliest memory of an international film? Then the
Right.
follow-up, I ask, what age were you? Okay, so what age were you when?
Most Americans are still don't like reading the subtitles, so the film has to be extremely engaging and interesting
Right,
in order for
right,
them
right,
to.
right. A lot of people. I mean, I worked for a guy, Peter Scarlett. He was the director of the San Francisco Film Festival, and he became oh, a Knights of Arts and Letters in the French. What do they call it? French Legion d'Honneur or something like that. And I attended his ceremony at the French consulate where he got this honor because he presented French films with such honor and pleasure and knowledge. And um, yeah, this was just so cool. He introduced me to Satyajit Ray, and so many, and really a love of film. And he
Exactly.
yeah, had so many great jobs, but he tried really hard. And now he might be tired of it. I mean, he's got, I think, quite satisfying work. His last one was doing it in the Middle East, but and then he worked for 2 years, developed this film festival, and then they said, okay, now we'll take over. You've taught us
Oh,
everything you know. Now we'll take over. And he was at the in France. It's like the first non-French director to lead the Cahiers du Cinéma, I believe. Is that the Cahiers du Cinéma or the Cinémathèque Française? That's what first non-French, and that's a big deal. And his French is perfect. Yeah,
wow.
we don't have that so much at the film festival, and maybe others, but the sort of multilingual JFK like atmosphere with languages and cultures being enjoyed with ease. The people who just happen to either immigrate or find films, and for that, for that reason, unfortunately, it was cast as sort of elitist.
Right, right, exactly.
I mean,
I know.
it's not at all. I mean, people immigrate. Yeah, maybe they travel, but and to make films, yes, it costs money, but it's still $10 to see a film, 15 tops. It's
Oh,
still
yeah,
the
right,
most accessible art form, public art form we can engage in.
right, exactly. I think that I don't know. I mean, I like to think that the country's changing. This next generation is, but it depends on where you are in the country. So who
Yeah,
knows?
it does,
All
it
about-
does indeed, it does indeed. Um, Speaking of which, any luck on your list?
I did email Ron, and I haven't heard back from him. And
Okay.
I did email my friends, and I haven't heard back from them either. And so now I'm going to start with the school districts. Okay, I'm just going to start sending emails out. Period.
Good.
And see if anything happens. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay,
Right
so you
now.
got the one pager.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've got enough sample letters.
Yeah, I
Um,
do.
One of the ones that I think works really well is I think here it's in the marketing text and post. Let me share that. Make sure.
I really think we need to present at a homeschool conference or present at a
Yeah.
independent school conference, or we actually need to be a presenter, so that
Yes.
people get the word out, they get to see it.
I was thinking of that too, and also thinking of special events. Creating an event and inviting people. I just had contact with a friend in New Zealand, and I readjusted my time. We can actually between 1 and 4 p.m. Pacific time is 9:30 to 12:30 in New Zealand. So this is really great for connecting with kids towards the
Right.
east, and the same, it's an hour earlier for Japan, but it's the
Right.
next day. So this
Right,
is
exactly.
this is cool. So I want to keep
Yeah.
developing that.
Mhm.
There here it is. Let's see. Originally developed and tested at Stanford University and Lucille Packard Children's Hospital to combat isolation during the flu season. Screen 360 TV is a distance learning platform using international films as learning tools with the aim to support cultural literacy in grades 7 through 12.
That's great. So
Yeah.
where's this
That
one posted?
that is in marketing. It's in the marketing file, and it's called
Okay.
marketing text and posts. And I will put short historical.
Perfect.
Yeah, and attached is a one-page description. That's what I did. That's an email.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Exactly that, and
Cool.
see what happens. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful when we say we tested to combat isolation before we had that, and now we're just expanding it, and that's exactly what we're doing. And
Yep.
yeah, it's so
I know,
difficult to get in as a solo woman founder, and
right.
it's going to take a, I don't know, big boy marketing to
Mhm.
say,
Exactly.
Mr. So and so, and I had inroads at Stanford. I went in
Right.
and
Mhm. I signed up to attend a Latino entrepreneur conference, and
Oh.
it's a webinar, I think, or something or other. It's coming up next week, and I just want to see what they're talking about and what's out there, that kind of stuff. To see, it's for women entrepreneurs, Latinas, entrepreneurs.
Good.
So I'm going to go and check it out and see what that's all about.
Oh, good, good. There is also the Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs in Los Angeles.
Oh.
Also has, I think it has a Latino focus.
Mhm.
Or there might be one in additional, but there is a guy down there. I think he was running for office too, but he's a Stanford grad and he's an angel investor.
Mhm.
And I had a short exchange with him. But
Mhm.
yeah, join Angels and Entrepreneurs also.
It's Stanford or no?
Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs, SAE is, and you can find them. And you can join through Screen 360 TV if you want to.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Mm-hmm. I'll do it through 360. Yep, for sure. Yeah, so I'll do that, and just to see what's out there for support of some sort. But
okay, good. And then one last thing, I want to take a look at this question with you and just get a couple of points.
oh, okay.
Let me move this. Move away, move away. Go away, chat. These things are in the way. There we are. All right. Look, I mean, there's like 20 questions. Did you
Oh
say
my
it was going to be? Okay. Revenue,
Wow.
judge, okay, judge progress, number of participant pilots, Q&A engagement, survey responses, number of recommendations, other progress.
Other progress?
Yeah, how do we judge other progress? How busy we are, how many phone calls? Um,
I think, you
pitch
have
response.
survey responses refer to after the schools have seen the program. Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna
or-
call it film analysis, yes. Survey responses, yeah.
Well, I think, I don't know whether we have that on there per se, but I think student feedback or student teacher feedback
Uh-huh.
is progress. You know, if we keep hearing positive things, it keeps us going, you know, that we're heading in the
Q&A
right
engagement,
direction.
that's, yeah, student teacher. Um, Feedback,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, pitch feedback, good. How do you judge progress? Good. Um,
I think progress is, you know, also, you know, increasing the outreach, you know, so therefore marketing or, you know, outreach, the more schools we reach out to, I guess.
mhm.
In other words, we haven't stopped, you know, we're continuing to, you know, pound the pavement out there.
Yeah, I think there's another page for that, or another section for that.
Mhm. Progress is just, I think it's developing, you know, the program. I mean, I think that's progress. You know, I think everything that we do to, you know, the social media, you know, jumping into it and expanding social media is progress. I think that, like you're talking about the new campaigns, you know, posing questions, that's progress. I
Uh-huh.
think that, I think attending conferences or whatever for us to keep, you know, trying to look at what's going on with ed tech or what's going on with education or what's going on right now, what's out there, what needs to be done for Hacking for Recovery. I think it's progress, you know, how to adapt to the COVID situation here or the need for schools. Understanding that and being flexible, being able to change, you know, that are so that we figure that out.
I'm just writing.
I think it's our mind. I think it's our mindset, you know, I think it's open.
This works, okay, good. And I'm calling it
I think it's adapting to needs, right? I mean, I think it's adapting to educational, you know, change, you know, it needs of education.
gained team cohesion, pitch feedback, film analysis or some new social media campaign.
I think progress is also I mean, it's hard to quantify, but I think it's just how about, you know, it's determination or knowing that there is this need that needs to be that's out there that's, you know, that's understanding the need, I guess, and trying to address the need. I think in keeping moving forward to try to fill that need.
Okay. Okay.
So it's yeah, I think it's a challenge. There's no doubt about it because we're unique. or unique, which makes it harder,
Yeah.
because it's like a game or an app or, whatever, it's bigger than that, it's more specialized, but yet.
And you know what we're finding out is that there's a lot of software out there doing something similar, but it's us and our understanding of education, global needs. That is the USP, the unique selling point. So here, efficacy. Please describe your current and potential impact on learners with respect to the improvement of educational efficacy and the number of learners impacted by such an enhancement. Big daddy question. So I'm going to add cognitive research.
Mhm.
Speaks to momentous learning,
Mhm.
providing vivid memories that continue to contribute to the life built upon it. That was vivid cornerstone memories.
Mhm.
Memories that continue to contribute to the life built upon them. Good. Okay. Measured in the Finding Felix product.
Right, in the research.
Okay. Such is measured. Okay. Efficacy. I mean,
But I do.
a longitudinal study. I'd love to do a longitudinal study, and that's what Finding Felix is, a bit of a longitudinal study.
I think, I mean, it's hard. This is hard to measure, but I think that I do think it's all that with memory, But to me, I think the key thing here is the impact. What's lacking in curriculum is that truly addressing concretely that cultural literacy piece that's so important in the 21st century skills, okay, in the globalized market. That's what I think is not really developed in curriculum. I mean, it's kind of sits there, and you get kind of dab into it, but not really focused. This is focused directly, but it's also indirectly. I think it's one of those things that is hard to measure impact because it requires you to reflect. So I guess if there was a reflection piece as part of the curriculum from students, the impact that they recognize, and that's the recollector, but more than the recollector, more about the connections that are made personally to them, or an understanding that changes as a result of, or a mindset that changes. I think that is what's important. That's what's different, and that's what I think is really important about this. That it's not just watching films.
Right, and but that it is really trying to open up a window, a mindset.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is really so very important and yet lacking concretely in the curriculum. I mean, that's all there is. No one's got time for it because they're so busy marching through the curriculum that this piece is
right. And this is what I recognize, just the sixth grade, the internship in a sixth grade class that I did at Stanford. And I was also very frustrated because it was advertised that the program would give me a paid internship. So I thought, okay, a little bit of money there is offsetting the cost. Okay, that there was nothing there for me. The only ones who got paid were the ones who went and interned at Apple because they had engineering degrees, right? And there wasn't even an internship that was fitting my drive. So I made up one myself. I generated it. And you know, and that's what happens, you know. That's why I didn't go to film school, because I thought I was going to be teaching myself. And so I generated things and teaching them. So I had the sixth graders. This came through the D school, and this was a school in the Foster City San Mateo School District. And this kids they took my job as curators. I may have told you about this, right? So the kids watched what the Berlin Film Festival was showing that year, and I didn't go because I was in school. So we researched the films, watched the trailers, we watched what we could about them, and then made the ask to the filmmakers if we could show their film at a film festival that the sixth grade class presented to the rest of the school.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, it was great, but the teachers sabotaged it at the end. The principal wanted to have it on the last day, as you know, but then the teachers, of course, also wanted to do their own last thing on that. So they were taking their kids, right? It was just, they were the worst, actually. And there was lack of communication, lack of anyway. And anyway, so it was I'm glad we did it. A lot of great stuff came up from it, but what I saw were these kids were suffering from being run from one class to another class, to a 43-minute class, to another 43-minute class, run to sit in their seats, and then jump into a lesson. I just thought, and one little boy came in and said, "See what we have to do?" I mean, it was great. He was sixth grader. His metacognition was already there, and he felt like cattle, you know. And I just thought, I see it.
Teachers feel that way too. Teachers do too, because they've been handed this curriculum, and there's going to be a test, and it's going to be a national test, and their scores are going. You know, if their kids don't do well enough, you know, then you know your review is not good enough. And no
child left behind.
Right, exactly. That's it right there. You know, but I think that it needs to be. I think somehow, and this needs to work. I really think that it needs to work its way up to the state, superintendent, and then to Washington. I mean, I think it's a campaign to put it in concretely into the curriculum. I think it's the only way that it happens smoothly, you know, is if it does happen like that, but or develop somehow cultural literacy, but it isn't really happening. And not only that, you sit there today and you're watching all these people who went to the Trump rally in Nebraska, who got stranded outside in the cold and had to have emergency help for wind chill factors and whatever, all because the buses didn't come to pick them up after the rally and all this other stuff. And the question was, why are people going to these things? You know, why are they they themselves, why are they buying into this and going, when you would think that common sense would say don't, because it's stupid, you might catch this virus and you might get, you know, frostbite or whatever you're getting.
God and football, that's why they do it. God and football, they love their team, fight for everything for the team, don't question God, you know, they don't question.
So this is like, so I think when you're talking about Palo Alto and you're talking about Silicon Valley, so much diversity, so much different thinking and all these things. But when you leave, you know, when you go outside of that region right there are people who think like this. They just follow blind faith. And so they're never going to expand their minds, open their minds, take something in, think differently, unless it's brought to them or in a classroom setting or through films or thoughtful discussions. And it goes back again and again. It really goes back to teacher training, what's important in the teacher ed programs, you know, and then it goes back to supporting those teachers so that they can leave their comfort zone and teach, you know, differently, and which is huge. It's gigantic. It's all gigantic obstacle. It's a big obstacle. So So it never changes if those things don't happen. That's the whole problem. It doesn't change, you know. I
well,
was lucky. I was lucky that I had an opportunity that went to STEP, and that I had an opportunity to work with Ron Herring in that group. Because in that I had the support of that whole group who came in and observed me in my classroom. And then we all met afterwards, and then we all did lesson plans together and created curriculum. But it was like, on my own, it wouldn't have happened. Because teaching is so hard. You're swimming uphill. I mean, you're just like constantly against the current, because things are happening that fast. This needs to be done. You need to march through everything. And so that unless you have a lot of support, it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
Right. And I mean, you would hope that it would happen in small rural communities where teachers do 2 or 3 things. They might be an English teacher and a coach, or they do other things. They really, it's their society, it's their everything.
Everything. It is.
And
in a way.
yeah,
But I think this is the value of this, though. The value of this really is just recognizing the fact that, guess what? It isn't there. It's there. It's typed, the word cultural literacy. I see it in the standards. I see it, but in reality, when push comes to shove, it's not. I mean, you'll see it in an English classroom, a high school English classroom, by the books that they read and the discussions that they have. And if you have a really good English department, it'll happen, that way those kids will have access and have those discussions. But unless you have those things in place, doesn't happen.
Immersive opportunities. Right. And they're just not there.
I know. I was talking to a teacher the other day who, she was very proud of the fact that, I know in July, I know what I'm doing for every single day, every single week of the whole school year. I've made my whole lesson plans and blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm sure you're a good teacher, but it's like opening up that file drawer or your laptop now and just pulling out the folder. It's like, where's the innovation, flexibility? Yeah, that's all great, but it's like you just march through everything, so it's like, yeesh.
I mean, that's also, having a blueprint, having a script for a film, you have a blueprint, but then you also allow the actors, the scene, to give you things too. So
right.
That's also the problem with didactic learning. I prefer project-based learning, and
absolutely.
Absolutely. And travel learning.
I think so I think efficacy is there's a lot of efficacy in here, but someone's got to recognize it and go for it.
Are we creating the measures of that too? So far it's been measured qualitatively, and then I coded the qualities, and so actually I should bring those to the fore, really, and we could use those when we're watching, because that's what's going to happen. Is a learning scientist will watch our Screen 360 TV engagement and look for those codes that we've already identified. For instance, a rise in pitch of the voice when responding to something, like that shows clear emotional change, and change in range, and it either conveys excitement or anger or something, but it conveys movement. Yeah,
we saw evidence of that with a couple of Kate's students last week.
Yeah,
we saw it. We definitely saw it.
So let's talk about that. Those codes. I'm gonna bring the codes up. Yeah, let's see. We develop codes.
That's a great idea. Yes, even if you and I, on the side, were measuring that,
Well, and we present that back to them. 3 of you showed this code, and did I meant to respond to their recollectors to them, give them some feedback on that, and
Right, yeah.
and show what I see. So that's also important, that we look at that before the next class and talk about that. Just take 5 minutes to
Right.
talk about that, depending on the length of the film that we're showing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. This is really helpful. And I'm going to quote you here.
Yeah, it's just, what really bugs me, I guess, is what we're up against. You're up against kind of quick fixes, flashy fixes, but not depth. You know what I mean? Not depth and thought, which is really like what really
Yeah.
irks me is the fact that it's like, okay, hello, it's like, what can they get really fast and get joy out of, but it's different than, real engagement. I mean, it's
Yeah.
engagement
How
for sure.
how can we create a facsimile of travel? And that's what we're doing, really, as well as
Well,
presenting the film art. But that's one of the things you get with film.
is it a facsimile of travel, or is it a facsimile of global understanding and connections? You know what I mean? Because I think, I don't know.
I think you
Travel, yeah,
I think you get that through travel. And so if we were to say who is the most, what kind of educator, what do we want to educate to? What is our goal in educating a person? It's a person who is curious, a curious, continuous learner, a curious learner, someone who drives them, is self-motivated, a self-motivated learner, um, someone who is empathetic.
The whole thing is that which is really, it's interesting, is the fact that those things that you said right now,
Mhm.
those are all part of the standards. Those are, I mean, like at Los Altos High School where I taught, those were our expected school-wide learning results. Okay, lifelong learner. It was, this wanting to, this collaborator. It was this,
Right.
there were all these skills that for the 21st century. Those were our ESLers. Okay, so I mean that was like 20 years ago. I mean, so here we
ESLers?
are.
ESL?
Expected school-wide learning results. Okay, that's
Uh-huh.
what they were. And but like, so here you fast forward 20 years and it's like, hello, we still haven't gotten there. I mean, we really still haven't gotten there in the curriculum like that, so it's like, okay, a lot of work went into that, a lot of thought, a lot,
Right.
yeah, right. So I mean, so what we keep saying that this is what the 21st century skill is that a kid has to have to function well and be successful in a globalized world, and yet it isn't there yet. So like, it's like it's like you're reinventing the wheel constantly, but it's like, where's the proof that this is actually happening? That it's happened. Where's the marker that we've moved on to? Yes, we're there.
Right. I mean, how many multilingual students do we have? I mean, that's one marker. How do we test that? Yeah. And the self-motivated learning, multilingual is another one that was one of our goals. Multilingual, collaborative, empathetic learners are needed are expected in the workforce, in the global workforce in the 21st century.
Right. And this is not just, the whole thing is like, this isn't the frosting on the cake. This is like the cake. This is like, this is the real cake that we're
Right.
talking about.
Right. Exactly. So it's not that we can't get away from not having facility with the second language, because they don't all speak English over there. You know, we cannot have that attitude.
No, we can't. And it's the whole thing is that every kid needs to have it. I mean, every kid, even from your underserved communities, it's like everyone needs to have it, not just those that are fortunate enough to, be in the best school districts,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
access. It's like, no, it's like everyone needs to have it, so yeah, but that is the frustration in this whole thing, it's like when this is something that's definitely I think essential for every kid in the US to have, to learn to think about this mindset or this experience. But
And who are those kids that do get it? We often think of the diplomats kids, who are thrust into different, yeah, maybe they do have the great schools for diplomats kids in the world.
I think
But
Silicon Valley kids get it. I think Silicon Valley kids get it. I really do. Again,
yeah,
that was my experience. They do. They do, but they're like in that setting, right? They're in that setting where it's innovation, it's new ideas, and there's this energy.
right,
It's like
right,
New York City.
right.
I mean, certain communities are
I
getting
mean,
it. There's no
look at
doubt about it.
Jack. Jack is just jamming.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, but
Funny.
yeah, I
Sometimes
know.
you feel like it's
So,
like it was not that it's like I'm his mother, but I. I mean,
it's like you don't want to put someone on the spot, like when we're presenting and pitching and whatever. You don't want to put someone on the spot, but in a way, you kind of do. You kind of want to ask them, what do you think your child would need to be successful in the 21st century? And then they would
yeah.
tell you all these things, and you go, exactly. And this is what this is. This is what this program is all about.
Right, right. And you do want to get personal. You want to start with questions like that, and then it gets them there. I mean,
Right.
asking what's your earliest memory of an international film,
Mhm.
how old were you when you had that memory? I mean, that does, but then, what do you want for your kids? And don't you think that
That's a
everyone
question.
wants that?
That's a question. It's one of those questions we could pose, right? If we
Yeah,
frame it right, that could be a question that see what people say, respond. What would what skills do you think are necessary to succeed in the 21st century? I don't know, but I mean, or what does every child need to succeed in the 21st century? What skills does every child need to succeed in the 21st century? And see what comes back. And that is documentation.
oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah, no,
hello.
that's really good.
Yeah.
That's a good, that's down there. Okay, I'm gonna get back and get these
Me too.
things
Okay, it's
done.
good. I'm glad we had a chance. This is good.
Yeah,
We need to
yeah,
touch
thank
base.
you. Good,
Okay,
good. Let me see if
I
there's
will.
anything else. Oh, wait. How does your product improve equity and access in education? Hugely. I mean, I think I have something written about that. Please highlight
Well,
any elements of diversity. I mean, that's who it was originally dedicated to, people who couldn't travel, who didn't have access to travel for reasons of economics or health, right?
or homogeneous communities. So it
Right.
brings in heterogeneity into homogeneous communities, right? So
Mm-hmm,
if
mm-hmm.
there's so it's just to bring in other ideas, other minds, other thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's
Oh,
opportunity.
look at this.
Okay.
Oh, it's so big.
Okay. All
Okay, good.
righty.
Thank you. See you soon. Yeah, we'll text
Not tomorrow or Friday? Friday, right?
Friday.
Is that
Yes, 1 o'clock PST.
mhm.
Oh, and tonight is that thing with CMA Children's Media. I went to see if I could sign up late, and it's already closed, so can't do it.
Uh-oh.
But you can, right?
Uh-oh.
Did you sign up already?
I didn't. I wanted to know. No, I had a question. It's already closed.
I
Oh,
could
shoot.
not get there. Oh, dang it.
I will try. I'll try.
See if
See.
you can see if there's someone to write to and say, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, I'll
And then if you have trouble, I'll see what I can do.
okay. Sounds good.
All
All
right.
righty.
Thanks, Didi.
Okay. Talk to you later. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.